research efforts to discover new antibiotics have stalled. In the post-World War II period following Alexander Fleming's breakthrough discovery of penicillin, new antibiotics were discovered and developed at a breathtaking pace. The golden age of antibiotic discovery peaked in the 1950s, and during this period, the pharmaceutical industry was the engine of innovation. But then, discoveries started dropping drastically from the 1980s onward, with no new antibiotics being produced in nearly 3 decades. Government, industry, and medical communities all agree that in the face of this mounting crisis, efforts to revive and improve the likelihood of successful drug discovery is essential. Enter Acurx Pharmaceuticals. They are a biopharmaceutical company focused on developing new antibiotics for difficult-to-treat infections such as MRSA, VRE, and DRSP. We face new threats every day, big and small. Acurx Pharma is on the front lines of health using technology to help us treat tomorrow's infections today. Acurx Pharmaceuticals.
Well, live from the Loft 100 studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show's on the air again. Day trader Quattro, Costa here, Sully here. Great to have you along today. As I mentioned before, one of the best things we do here on the program is when we get emails from our viewers across the country, and I actually worldwide, Mike, because of our radio personality. Oh, yeah. But what have you? We were talking about gold, or asking about gold. A while back, and fortunately we got in touch with Jonathan Awde. Jonathan Awde's the president, CEO, and director of Dakota Gold Corp, and he's joined us a number of times. And what's great about them is this is one of those companies where he can talk about the gold market top to bottom, but he can also talk about what's happening in his company. But and here he is, because we're very important, and we're influencers that way. Jonathan, how are you, brother? Good to see you.
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. I want to remind everybody the stock symbol for Dakota Gold Corp is DC. And of course, their website, DakotaGoldCorp.com. Give us an overview of what's going on with you guys. There's been a lot of stuff on. You've been busy the last couple of weeks. Give us an upgrade on what's happening with you guys.
Yeah, we have 4 drill rigs turning in Lead, South Dakota. We announced a discovery a few weeks ago in what looks to be an analog to what was mined at Homestake next door, 40 million ounces of gold, still to this day America's largest gold mine.
Yeah.
So it's the same geological setting. Our exploration group is really excited, and we announced a discovery earlier in the year in a different geological unit on the same project, contiguous with this 40 million ounce ore body. So team is really excited, lots going on. I was just there last week for board, committee, and strategy meetings for a couple of days, and we're really encouraged by what we're seeing.
Hey, Jonathan, talk about that leadership team. One thing we haven't talked about, I mean, your experience is pretty vast. Let's talk about who you got behind the scenes there, because that's a big piece of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, it really starts with our 2 co-chairs. Steve O'Rourke was global head of exploration for BHP. He's a School of Mines grad. He's from Rapid City. And then Bob Quartermain, largest single shareholder. Bob is in the Mining Hall of Fame. Started 2 companies that, from basically scratch. And, one of them is still a $4.5 billion company in silver standard. Wow. It's called SSR Mining. Wow. And the other is Pretium, which was acquired by Newcrest for $3.5 billion, and Newcrest is being acquired by Newmont for $20 billion. So from discovery to first gold pour in under 7 years, which is what Quartermain did for Pretium, is unheard of.
Yeah.
So that's who's leading, that are co-chairs. And then really technically it's led by Jerry Aberley, who was the last mine manager at Homestake when it shut down. And then James Berry, who's our vice president of exploration. So it's a great team, a lot of bench strength. And we just brought on Patrick Malone from Barrick. He was running their closure group, and that's who we had acquired some of these assets from. And he's our chief sustainability officer.
Hey, Jonathan, you talk about the mining and the drilling. You guys started drilling your projects last spring. Can you give us the arc of that story on what you intended on seeing, what you saw, and where you are now?
Great question. So we had a lot of the data from Homestake. As we were able to get that data from Barrick. So when we started drilling, we were relatively informed. We had people who worked in the old mine, and we were looking for gold mineralization in this geological unit called Homestake. And we started getting sniffs, and then we turned that corner and announced a discovery. And we were intrigued with this younger package of rocks called the tertiary, and we've been hitting some really nice gold mineralization there. And that was where our discovery was made back in February, which we call Unionville. So, I think we had the benefit of having 125 years of data.
Sure.
That had never been digitized. It was an analog format, and that was probably our biggest Achilles heel, was trying to get everything digitized, and that took a lot longer than we would have liked, but it's been extremely informative, not only guiding our drill program, but in our land consolidation and going from 5,000 acres to almost 50,000 acres. So we've grown the land package almost tenfold since we started this process.
Jonathan, when you're drilling, the physical act of drilling, is gold normally found at an average depth, or can you find it anywhere once you get subterranean?
Great question. So you typically will see this tertiary, so the younger package of rocks, sits on top of the older package of rocks, and that can be quite close to surface. And then the Homestake Formation, which was what Homestake mined for 125 years, that's typically a little bit deeper down, but it can be as shallow as a few hundred meters, and Homestake mined down to 8,000 feet. So there's quite a vertical extent to it, which is one of the things that made this deposit and this mine so special.
It's interesting. You look at that map, and it's almost like you guys are drilling for clues, and then you keep going, right? I mean, it's sort of like, okay, we're catching stuff here. Last of all, I want to ask one more time before we get out of here. Going forward for this year, what are you looking most forward to, and what are we thinking is going to happen, near term, far term, for the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, so we're most excited about, I think right now our Maitland project, where every hole we drill, we have an opportunity to hit both of these kinds of mineralization. And with the next phase of our drilling at Maitland, it's really about sharpshooting and vectoring towards where we think the thicker, higher grade portions of this discovery are going to be. And that's been, possible because of all of the data from the old mine and from our experience in the old mine. And I think I've said this before, 97% of Homestake Formation, this geological unit, is not mineralized. So when you encounter gold in this Homestake Formation, it's pretty exciting.
Good stuff. Jonathan, thanks so much for coming. Jonathan Awde, President, CEO, Director, Dakota Gold Corp. Of course, stock symbol DC, DakotaGoldCorp.com. I want to ask him, next time I have to ask him about the state of gold in the country and worldwide. Gold price is supposed to be a good hedge against inflation. We'll see if that's it. More Big Biz coming up. Sully, Costa, the Quattro. See you in a minute. Nothing from nothing, leave nothing.